Is Trump really making gains with young people? Just over a year out from the 2024 presidential election, polling of a hypothetical rematch between former and potentially future President Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden looks to be close. There's still time for the polls to change in either direction, so it will definitely be a rematch worth watching, assuming these are the candidates the GOP and DNC select to be their nominees. Biden is likely getting a challenger in Representative Dean Phillips, DMN, and while Trump is currently the Republican frontrunner, he's running against a dozen other candidates with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley especially looking to give him a run for his money. As more polling comes out, there's been a deep dive to see how Trump and Biden perform with certain demographics. Last Friday, Emerson College released a poll not only showing that Trump is ahead of Biden 47 to 45%, with 8% also undecided, but also that he's making inroads with young voters. To be exact, Trump's lead is at 47.2% to Biden's 44.6%, which is just outside the margin of error of plus or minus 2.4 percentage points. According to Real Clear Politics, RCP, Trump is up 44.6% to Biden's 44.1%. The poll's executive director, Spencer Kimball, highlighted the results about young people. While the poll reflects voters under 30 breaking for Biden by significant margins in 2020, 45% of voters under 30 support Trump in 2024 in this survey while 43% support Biden, he said. These voters are most likely to be undecided among all age groups, at 12%. Even with progressive candidate Bernie Sanders on the ballot, the election is statistically similar among this group, 45% supporting Sanders and 42% Trump. The impact of Trump on younger voters is better seen in the Romney versus Biden ballot test where Biden leads 50% to 24% among voters under 30, more reflective of Biden's 2020 support. Voters aged 18 to 29 made up 16% of the respondents, just as those voters aged 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and those older than 70 do. Those aged 50 to 59 make up 17% of the poll, while those aged 60 to 69 make up 19%. Trump holds a commanding lead over the field of Republican presidential candidates, with 59% support. DeSantis and Haley each have 8% support. This is similar to the RCP average of the overall Republican presidential primary field, where Trump enjoys 59%, although DeSantis' level of support is slightly higher, at 12.7%. Haley is at 7.8% support. The poll included 1,578 registered voters and was conducted October 16 to 17. The findings are a big if true moment, but Emerson also has an A rating from 538. Some have expressed doubt about the poll's results, including at Max Nordo, who often posts in support of DeSantis on X, formerly known as Twitter. As his post mentions, 59% of voters aged 18 to 29 voted for Biden, while 35% voted for Trump, making that a 24-point margin, according to numbers from Pew Research. The numbers compared voting patterns to 2016, however, and Trump did gain support among such voters since he only had 28% support when going up against Hillary Clinton. Not long after the 2020 election, the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement, CIRCLE, put out research on Election Week 2020. Young people increased turnout, led Biden to victory. We estimate that young people turned out at a higher rate in 2020 than in 2016, and their impact, especially youth of color's overwhelming support for Biden, was decisive in key races across the country, a release on that research noted. It's certainly possible that this poll is an outlier when it comes to young people supporting Trump, but it's not surprising that 12% of young people would be undecided. Over the years of Biden's presidency, young people have been particularly critical of him as shown by their approval ratings, though that doesn't necessarily mean they'll vote for Trump or any Republican. Regardless of how much of an outlier it is, it's not good news for an incumbent president running for re-election, especially when young voters were key to his election win in 2020. Curiously, this Emerson College poll shows that 42.5% of this age group still approves of the job that Biden is doing, while 42.9% disapprove. They are, however, the most likely to support Trump in the primary, with 65.6% selecting him as their candidate among other Republicans. And they're the least supportive of Biden in the Democratic primary when faced with him are Marianne Williamson as their choice, with 57.1% selecting Biden as opposed to the 21.1% who would choose Williamson, by far her most supportive age group. Another poll looking at support for Biden and Trump by age group showed far different results. For instance, a recent poll from The Economist, YouGov showed Biden with 50% support among respondents 18 to 29, while Trump had only 18%. Other than demographics by political party and partisan leaning, this was one of Biden's most supportive age groups, other than the 58% of black respondents who would select Biden over the 10% who would select Trump. Bill Maher and his audience reacted to Emerson's findings during Friday's episode of Real Time, with audible gasps. As guest Paul Begala, a Democratic strategist who worked for the Bill Clinton presidential campaign and the White House, put it, the polls are terrible for Biden.